Alright, now this next one is just matching. So we have some pictures there on the right that we're trying to match up with the equations here on the left. So a couple different ways to do this would be to maybe find a point on each of these graphs here on the left and like pick an x value and see what y comes out to be, and then see if any of these graphs have that point. So let's go ahead and try some easy ones. Let's try maybe just plugging in 0 for x. So up here, we'll plug in 0 for x. That means I'm going to have y is equal to the square root of 0 plus 3, which is equal to the square root of 3, which is approximately equal to, well, I'm just going to estimate here it'll be like 1.5-ish. Because I know the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 1 is 1. So it's going to be closer to 2 than it is to 1, but it's just going to be somewhere between 1 and 2. So I'm just going to estimate there to be 1.5, right? This is ish. Okay, let's plug in a 0 over here. See what we come out with. It's going to be y is equal to negative 0 squared plus 2. That's just going to be 0 plus 2, which is 2. Okay, and this one is going to be y is equal to 2 times the absolute value of 0, which is just 0. So it's going to be 0 minus 1. So we have the point 0 comma negative 1. So let's see which one of these points are on each of these. So I'm looking over here at this blue one. When x is 0 is on this line, looks like x is 0, y is 2. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be this one, right? Because we have that point. But let's make sure the other two match up here. The next one's here. When x is 0, y is negative. This is negative 2, so that means this must be negative 1. So it looks like this one would go with that one. And this last one here, when x is 0, y is between 1 and 2. Remember, I had estimated mine to be 1.5. Looks to be a little bit higher than that. So that means this first one would go with this one. So we just got to write those in. This first equation gets 3. 1 goes here with the second equation, and 2 goes here with the last one. Now, we need to talk about domain and range. The domain is x values that you can plug in, and the range is y values that come out. Some functions you end up with all the x values, all the y values. Let's look at these three pictures here. Let's see which x values we can use for each of these. So notice here, I can for sure use any of these in here because I'm getting y values, right? All the way between, well, whatever this is, negative 2 1/4 up to 2 1/4. Now I'm getting y values. Think about this is just y equals something squared, right? I can plug any number I want in for x. And I'm going to keep, so I can use any x values that I want. You could also think about if you went from negative to infinity to positive infinity and squished this from the top and from the bottom, and this was covered in paint, where on this x-axis would paint end up? Would end up covering the whole thing. So the domain of this one is all real numbers. Now let's talk about the range. The range are the y values. So think about if I was going to squish it left and right, and this was covered in paint, where would the paint end up? Would cover all, paint would end up all down here. But notice right here it has a peak, it has a highest point. It only come up here to 2. So if I stood up this way, I'd have no chance of getting paint on me. So it would just be from 2 on down. So the range is y's less than or equal to 2. Because it's going to be from 2 on down this way is where the paint would be getting. Let's go something similar here with number 2. Again, x values, I'm looking at x's I can plug into this equation. Well, there's no restrictions on the absolute value. I can plug any x number I want. So again, the domain on this one is going to be all real numbers. The range is going to be numbers that, again, if I smash this from left to right, where it would end up all here, all the way down to this point, which is at -1. So then I'm going to end up with y's now that are greater than or equal to -1. Now let's look at this last one down here, number 3. Notice the x values. If I'm plugging in x values over here, I'm getting these y value points up here. But I can't plug in x's over here. Notice there's no graph over here to the left of this. And that's because when we're working with square roots, I can't plug in negative numbers inside that square root. Now, notice I can plug in -2 because it happens to be a +3. So -2 plus 3 still gives me a positive number altogether. But I can't plug anything smaller than -3 in there, because -3 plus 3 gives me 0. If I was to pick a bigger negative number or a smaller number, then that would end up being a negative number, and this would be undefined, at least with real numbers. So for my domain is going to be x's bigger than or equal to -3. Because I'm starting right here at -3 and I'm going all these over here. If this was to get smashed vertically, paint would get on that part of it. If I was to smash this left and right, notice it would end up at 0, right? Because that's where this one is at. We come over here and smash it right there. And it would keep going on up this way. Because this, although it climbs slowly, does keep going up for infinity. So then my range is going to be y's greater than or equal to 0. Alright, your homework for today is a worksheet, so pick that up from the back of the room if you haven't already, and good luck.